afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this. Welcome. We have a very special Babes with Books. We have a new babe sitting with us today.
It's a good term to be called.
It's a very good term to be called. We are here at Pandora's Books in Olds, Alberta, and we are with best-selling author Steena Holmes. And she has come to us to talk about her newest book, The Forgotten Ones. And so I'm going to turn it over to her. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what the book is about?
So The Forgotten Ones is full of twists and turns, and it's all about those deathbed confessions that reveal secrets some families don't want told. Some do. Some don't even know about them.
Secrets, deathbed secrets.
Deathbed confessions.
It's
a psychological suspense.
Psychological suspense, that's great, yeah. So there's a lot of themes in this book.
Yes.
And because there's so many themes, of course, it's hard to know like what should you focus on. What was your hope when you were writing the book, the theme that you thought kind of people would get out of it? What was the main thing?
My going into writing the story, it was all about secrets that are in families, and how detrimental they can be, and how much we will do as a family to contain those secrets, to keep them hidden, and how in some families some don't want them, right? Like they want them exposed. And so I wanted to play with the whole theme of what happens when those secrets do come out. Are they really as deadly as you think they will be, right? And will they really change your life as much as you've always feared?
So this isn't your first book, Steena Holmes?
No.
How many books do you have out?
In total, I have 30.
30?
30
I didn't know
books.
that. Wow, you get even to the genre.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. And how long have you been publishing and writing for?
My first book came out in 2005.
Okay.
But then it took me another 5 years to get anything else published. I started off with a small e-press for romance in 2010, and then wrote Finding Emma, which was my breakout novel in 2011. And I've been writing full-time since 2012.
That's exciting. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And was this something you thought you would pursue for quite a while, or did it come about?
When I was a kid, obviously, I always wanted to write. I always thought, I love stories, and I loved being lost in stories, but I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think, I wasn't Stephen King or Nora Roberts, right? I wasn't Tolkien. I couldn't write like they did.
It's hard to
and
not.
I didn't believe in myself enough. So I got married, I had kids. My husband and I were pastors for 10 years. And then we moved to Calgary, and I started working in oil and gas, and I hated my job. And so he was the one who found this contest, and he's like, why don't you write a story for it?
Yeah.
And it was 6 months until the deadline, and I was like, well, I'll try. So I wrote it while I was working. I was sitting at my desk.
Yeah.
I wrote
It's better than
4 stories
Facebooking.
that way.
It's really better than Facebooking.
Yeah.
You're writing.
Very
That's
true.
it.
That's it. But it won. I submitted it and it won, and I knew nothing. Like, I didn't know anything about story structure or plot or where to put commas. I put commas after the quotation marks.
Oh,
like
okay.
I had no idea.
You really didn't know where to put
I
commas?
knew nothing. Nothing, and I still.
That's what a good
won.
editor's for.
Yeah. It then took me another 5 years to write another book.
Okay.
I didn't realize how hard it was after finding out I really didn't know what I was doing.
I've heard that from a few authors, actually. I've heard that from a few authors that they, especially like their first one kind of flows out and comes out, and then that second one, they're like, oh, I have to do this for real now. For real.
Can't just
What
be
just
playing
wanted
around.
to-
Can't just be a practice book anymore.
Yeah.
No. And I took that time to try and find an agent. And they would always come back. It was with Finding Emma, so it would always come back. It was a great storyline and really good idea, but women's fiction is so hard to sell. And so it took me like 5 years to finally believe in myself enough to do it myself.
Okay.
Well, and this is a big jump then. So you said your first one was a romance, and now we're
My
at
first one
psychological
was-
suspense.
Yeah, so I started off as Christian romance, and then I went to erotic romance, and then I went to sweet romance, and then I went to women's fiction, and then now psychological suspense.
Okay.
So why the progression? Is that something that you just changed your interest in what you wanted to write, or was there specific topics that you were feeling you wanted to kind of explore more, and that's what changed your genre?
I've always loved the psychological suspense. I've always loved going deeper with books. But the Christian romance was we were pastors, and it was what I was reading, right? So it was what I knew. and then women's fiction was where
We went to erotic.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. We'll just keep going. Keep going.
Because someone told me I couldn't do it, right?
Oh, yeah, don't
At
tell
least you're writing the
someone,
good Christian stuff and with no sex. And I don't like being told I can't do something. So I was like, really? So
Say what?
but I was nice. I put it under a pen name, right? And I didn't tell anyone about it until my mom, and I hope you're not watching, she was like, I'm so disgusted with you, and I raised you better than this. And then I was like, no.
Oh.
So then I came out and said on Facebook, hey, everyone,
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun writing these erotic books under this name. I'm going to change it now to my name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a learning experience, hey?
Very much a learning
Family
experience.
secrets, kind
that's
of
right.
like forgotten ones, hey?
Yes, very much.
Just an interesting thing that comes
I
out.
come from a very large, I call them a clan.
Okay.
It's a very large family, a lot of siblings on my dad's side, over 100 cousins and whatnot. Wow. So family secrets is huge.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that I keep learning about. And I think I always grew up with this, what happens in the family stays in the family, right? What happens in the home stays in the home. And I hate that. I hate that concept because I hate the idea of secrets. So it seems every single book I write has something to do with secrets.
Well, and I think the interesting thing there is we all have them in our families, right? And we all, I don't know, like joke about them or feel ashamed of them, and then someone else brings up their families, and you're like, oh, okay, right.
I'm not that bad.
Wow, my family's awesome.
Okay, yeah. So the writing progression was just your own. Was it also anything to do with, say, publishing industry or requests from agents or editors or anything like that, or was it just natural?
So because my breakout novel was a women's fiction, that's what my readers got to know me for, and so I stuck with women's fiction for a while. But I knew I've always wanted to go into psychological suspense. So I think about it as a journey. I don't want my readers, my brand is a promise that I've made to my readers, right? And my brand consists of what I write. And so my readers know what to expect when they pick up a Steena Holmes book. And I didn't want to take them from point A to S in such a quick jump, right? Because I didn't want to lose them on a really dark, heavy book.
Yeah, I would still, I could see this being women's fiction still.
Yeah, because there's a lot of family drama to it, right? But it has more twists, more turns. It's darker than my previous books. So what I've done is, my goal is I've kind of like taken my readers by the hand and said, okay, I know it's like a huge gulf to climb over, and it's a really rickety bridge, but we'll do it together, right? We've got it. And so, we'll keep going, and then eventually we'll get to those deep, dark, disturbing books that I would love to write. And my readers will trust me along the way, and I won't hopefully lose too many of them. That's my goal.
Well, and I'm noticing that your tattoo on your wrist there, and I know that this book has a lot of mental health themes in it. Why don't you tell us a little bit? I know half of your royalties for this book, so definitely go out and purchase this if you can, are going to support mental health in Canada. Yeah,
so it's called Lifeline Canada Foundation, and they're a local charity, and their whole focus is on suicide prevention. And I have 3 beautiful daughters, and my middle daughter for 3 years dealt with severe depressions and suicidal tendencies. And for 3 years, I was in a constant anticipatory grieving period, waiting to if anything was to ever happen. And she had multiple hospital stays and whatnot. The Forgotten Ones was just one of 3 or 4 books that I wrote while she was in the hospital. She's much better. We had so much help available to us, but I know not every family has that help. And not every family knows how to get that help. And so my goal is, for all my print books, half of the proceeds that I earn will go towards that charity so that they can continue to help more families to get the help. So I got my tattoo. It's the semicolon. Thank you.
She's got commas down, but
I'm thinking at the heart. So I'm thinking it's a heart. No, yes. And so it's all about the mental health. And so my daughter and I actually went and got tattoos together. Cool. And she has Stop and Smell the Roses, because that reminds her that every day is important. And just because right now may be hard, just stop and just take everything in. That will help her get through the next second, right? So this means a lot to me. And it's my first tattoo. I'm like 42, and I got my first tattoo. Something I've always wanted to do. I just didn't check in. I thought it would hurt. It didn't.
great.
And did you time the publication? I think May is Mental Health Awareness.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Well, that
I
worked
didn't.
out really
So
well for you.
that would be because of my editor. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's the importance of finding a good editor and a good fit there? Is that relationship, you think, incredibly valuable to an author? How do you go about it? What would you suggest to authors out there or trying to be authors?
So I would, if you're looking for an editor, and whether you're self-publishing or you're trying to find one with a traditional publishing house, research and take those books that you love to read and those authors that you love and see who they work with.
Who they're thinking.
Yeah. So whether they thank it in their acknowledgements, or they may mention them on their social media as a thank you, or I've just sent this in to my editor, blah, blah, blah. See who they're working with and who they recommend. And you can even be bold and email them and ask them, do you have any recommendations of editors that you can work with?
That's a great suggestion. I haven't heard that before. Yeah,
Well,
I think that would be important.
And we had a chance, we were talking a little bit earlier too, just about your ending, without giving any spoilers. And so your ending is a bit ambiguous.
Yes.
And we found out that it's on purpose, because she came in and we accosted her and we said, so tell us what this means. So she refused to answer our question. And she answered it. It was a very good answer.
Well, let's tell readers, for
Yeah.
Steena Holmes readers, if you're watching, and for the forgotten ones, so that she doesn't get bombarded with 5,000
I
emails.
do anyways.
Let's hear kind of about how you came about to that
So
ambiguous
why is the
ending.
ending so ambiguous?
So I wrote the ending 4 times, and each time my editor and I would go back and forth on how it should end. And for those who have read the book, you may understand that it could go either way. And for those who haven't read the book, please go ahead and email me or message me on Facebook or whatnot. I get a lot daily of people being like, what did you do? How did you do this? Who? I want you to figure that out on your own without me having to tell you. But
It was
left a
by
lot of
design, though.
clues. Yes.
Yeah.
There's enough clues, I think, that you should be able to get it. But I wanted you to read a book that you can remember and not just put down and say it was good and then you pick up the next one on your to-read list.
And what else were you hoping that readers would take away with? Because I found a lot of themes in this. There is the mental health, there's the psychological thriller, there's the women's fiction, there's even kind of a, medical kind of treatment and deathbed and dying and such like that. So was there sort of a main theme you were carrying throughout the entire book that you want people to kind of take a breath and be like, oh, right, that's kind of where I was going with that?
Just the whole idea of family and how convoluted it can be, and it can be messy and it can be ugly, but it's still family, and regardless of how ugly it can get or how bad it can get, there's reasons behind things that happen. And I think that was my main thing. I kept thinking about like some of the characters in there. David, who is dying, and why he did what he did, and Gertie, why she did what she did, and everyone did something that you may not agree with or understand. And just like in our lives, right? Our parents, we can look back and be like, well, why did you do this? And you did that, and I've had to do therapy for this or whatever. But everyone has a reason for it, right?
Yeah.
And it may not be logical, it may not be perfect, it may not even be the right reason, but they did the best that they could.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the right reason, and things should have been done otherwise in the book. But they did the best that they could at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's
good point.
a
That's a really good
valuable
point.
lesson for parenting coming out of that. And you had said that you had kids, so I can see how
Yeah,
that
it's
can
the
carry through
best
the parent,
I can do.
right?
I'm like, girls, I'm trying.
Right? And we've all said it, right? Yeah.
I will pay for therapy. I promise.
Well, it's been an absolute delight to have you with us. I think our time
Where can readers expect to go with you next, Ms. Holmes?
what's on the
So I have a novel that will be out, fingers crossed, next spring, and it's called The Therapist.
Oh,
And,
that sounds psychologically
It
thrillerish.
is.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going one step further.
Oh,
and
like
bringing
to
my
tea?
readers one step farther.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you can enjoy it.
Well, Steena's books are out in bookstores. You can certainly get copies of The Forgotten One here at Pandora's Books, and they came out just recently, so you can get them across Canada. She's leaving for a cross-Canada tour right away here, so watch for her in your community, and come on down to Pandora's and buy one of her books.
And Babes with Books News, we are going to be joining you next month with YA. We're gonna school's out for summer, and we are going to give you some hot titles to read in YA right now, or a good title to carry you through your beach reads or your vacations wherever you're headed. So we will be seeing you next month from Pandora's Books as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.